Hello, everybody. All right, so I had a question that was about gummy creatine. So rather than usually you're going to find like a creatine monohydrate in a powder, and somebody asked, is the gummy an appropriate option to take if you don't want to take the powder? So great question. And what I love about this question is it actually forced me to do a little bit of homework, which I always appreciate learning about new products. I did know that the gummies existed. I hadn't looked too far into them because from my understanding, there was not a third-party tested gummy creatine on the market. And you guys know how I feel about third-party testing. There are multiple videos on this and some information in the in the supplement classroom. And then also if you scroll down on the feed, you can, they're posted somewhat recently. But sort of an overhaul of that is that if a supplement is not third-party tested, you cannot guarantee that what is in the supplement is, or what the label says is in it, is actually what's in it, because what we know is that there's no oversight on supplements. So once again, you can say that you're selling a creatine gummy and you can just be selling gelatin sugar, right? There doesn't actually have to be any creatine in it. And the concern there is there could be pharmaceuticals, there could be other kinds of stuff in there that is potentially dangerous, right? And I do want to reiterate, like, it's not like that's a crazy outlier experience. Like, there have absolutely been like kidney failure, liver failure, hospitalizations for people that take a bunch of supplements that are not third-party tested, and they have some sort of active ingredient that is actually harmful. It's not that out of the ordinary, and it is actually the majority of the case that if it's not a third-party tested supplement, that what is on the label is not accurate to what's actually in it, right? So that's actually like upwards of 86% of the time. Like, you are actually more likely going to have something that doesn't actually have what they say is in it than the label being accurate. So anyways, I'll get off my soapbox about that. As always, make sure that your supplements are either NSF for Sport or Informed Choice certified. But okay, so what I wanted to say is that I don't necessarily typically recommend the gummies because I didn't think there was a third-party tested option, but I wanted to take a look just to make sure, and lo and behold, there is actually something new on the market that I had never seen before that is third-party tested. So I do want to go through this particular brand really quickly and just kind of talk through my thoughts. Okay, so the name of this is Create. Get it? Creatine. Now, something that's important is if you go to their homepage, this is what the homepage looks like. But the core creatine gummies, this one right here, by the way, not sponsored or anything. Like I said, I literally discovered this company today. So the core creatine gummies, these 5 flavors, these original 5 right here are the only ones that are third-party tested. And you kind of scroll through here. It is, oh my gosh, what did I do? I think I clicked on the wrong thing. Oh, no, there was. Oh no, mouse gone wild. There, right here. This right here is that NSF Certified for Sport that you're looking for. And then, of course, you can go to the NSF for certification website and you can type in creatine, and this does pop up as a third-party tested through them. Okay. So just a couple things I want to point out. So when I'm looking for a creatine, I want to make sure that it's creatine monohydrate. Why is that the case? Well, because creatine monohydrate is the best studied supplement, honestly, that's out there. But then if we're talking about types of creatine, creatine monohydrate is the best studied. So as you can see here, that is what is the #1 active ingredient in this supplement, or in these gummies. And then the only other thing that I wanted to show you was how much, oh my gosh, why does it keep doing this? I swear I wasn't doing this earlier. So here, if I find, here we go, the supplement facts. So basically 1 gummy is 1.5 grams of creatine. So the efficacious dose of creatine, so that's the amount of creatine that's been shown to be effective, is 5 grams. So their recommended serving is 3 gummies. And that would make it 4.5 grams per 3 gummies. Close enough, right? I'm not going to deduct points for 4.5 versus 5 grams. I'm not going to ask somebody to eat like 3 point, however many gummies at a time to hit that 5. You could probably eat 4 at a time just to make sure you're getting that efficacious dose. But yeah, I mean, I actually was pretty pleasantly surprised with this company. Like I said, I'm not usually a huge fan of the gummies, and then I will say, like, they do have other options as well. So just make sure that you are getting the ones that are just this core creatine, because again, these are the only ones that are third-party tested. Now, I will say, in general, my thoughts about gummy supplements. So again, my initial hesitation with these, because this is not the only company that makes gummy creatine, my initial hesitation with all non-third-party tests, but then also gummies in particular, is like they're sort of notoriously bad with their supplement facts. So again, any that's not third-party tested are more likely, or like sort of historically when you're looking at like consumer reports, are more likely to not actually have any of the active ingredient that's listed. They are usually just wind up being like a sugar gummy, right? Like you might as well just be eating like Welch's fruit snacks or something like that. So again, this one is third-party tested. This is the only one that I've seen that's third-party tested. They claim it's the only one on the market. That may be true. I haven't seen any other ones. So excluding this brand, I typically just don't recommend the gummies because, like I said, it's a high likelihood that there's not actually creatine in it. And like I said, gummies are notoriously bad about being accurately representing what's actually in them when we're talking about supplements. Another thing about the creatine gummies that I've noticed, sort of putting the third-party testing to the side, is a lot of them don't have the proper dosage. So again, you're looking for that 5 grams of creatine. And even with this brand right here, which is third-party tested, like you do have to take 3 to 4 of the gummies to hit that efficacious dose. Now, the good thing is, like I said, they tell you to take that many for the serving size, right? So they're kind of trying to hit or get close to that dose with the serving size. But there's definitely some gummies that I've seen that have like half a gram of creatine listed on it, and it tells you to take 1. So just pay attention to that. So yeah, I'm glad that I found this product. I think the last thing I'll say is that there's always sort of a concern, or not concern, you know, when a new form of a supplement comes out, so a gummy versus a powder, it's not like this company is going to pay to have testing done to show the, you know, efficaciousness of a gummy versus a powder, right? Even if it's third-party tested. So we don't have any evidence that shows that these gummies are just as impactful and useful as a powdered creatine monohydrate, because that study doesn't exist, right? So is that a reason to not take these gummies? I would say if we're ranking my like 1A recommendation, I would still say third-party tested creatine monohydrate powder would be my personal and professional recommendation first, just because we do have a lot of evidence on that. Now, a lot of nutrition is not 100% evidence-based. It might be evidence-focused, meaning like based off of all of the evidence out there, this is what I would recommend. And I would say this is one of those situations, right? Like we don't have, there's 0 studies in this world that I know of, and I did take a look right before I hopped on just to make sure, that test the efficaciousness. So again, that's how helpful in whatever it's claiming to be. So with creatine, we're either talking about like working out power or recovery or cognition or delay of onset of like dementia or Alzheimer's type symptoms, right? Like there's a lot of benefits of creatine. And again, I have a lot of other information on creatine out there. So we don't have studies that are looking at the gummy form versus the powder form. They just don't exist. We haven't studied them. But I would say an evidence-forward answer to this, without having that information to know if these are as effective as the powder, is like, hey, you know, this does have 4.5, if you're taking 3 of them, grams of creatine, which is, you know, pretty close to 5. If you want to take 4 of them, you'll be taking a little bit over 5 grams. It is creatine monohydrate. It's the form that we know to be the most impactful, right? So, you know, maybe there's something to it being in gummy form that inhibits how well it works and stuff like that. I don't have evidence to show that. I don't have evidence to not show that either, right? We just don't have any evidence. So I would say an evidence-forward recommendation would be, if you're not taking creatine because you don't like powders, but you really want to start and you think you would be more likely to take a gummy, I think that this is a great option, right? Just because it's not my top tier 1A recommendation doesn't mean that it won't be helpful. So I think that adding creatine in a form that, again, is safe, third-party tested, is the right dosage, and then is a way that you would actually take it if you don't like to take the powder form, I think it's a great option. So I'm super thankful for our member who asked about this, because again, I I was very ready to get on here and say, oh, it's a great idea, but there's no third-party tested ones. And I took a look, and lo and behold, here one is. So I think that, potentially a game changer for some people. So thank you so much for that question. And like always, if you guys have any questions for next week, please let me know.